in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on site from the best coffee growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Life is a journey, and the Doherty Family College will help you get where you want to go. Located downtown Minneapolis, this affordable 2-year college provides free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaches, one-on-one mentorship, and a Metro Transit pass, making DFC the perfect pathway to a bachelor's degree. Turn your dreams into reality. Connect with a counselor today at dfc.stthomas.edu.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies overnight with a low around 45, Saturday sunny with a high around 66, and Sunday sunny with a high around 77. Overwhelmed trying to make sense of Medicare? Medicare annual enrollment is October 15th through December 7th. As a licensed advisor, Harvey Pearl of Pearl & Company can help you determine your healthcare needs and evaluate your options. More information, go to pearlsofwisdom.com. That's PERLES of wisdom.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies are trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. My friends and relatives in 4 directions. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanjahade, Distant Thunder. My colonized name is Robert Pilot, and we talk about Native issues here. And as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Montessori American Indian Child Care Center. Tomorrow, they're hosting an event called the Payne Phelan Harvest Festival, and it takes place tomorrow, September 25th from 1 to 4. Check it out.
Well, today's kind of Friday, and it's Fun Friday, and we have State Senator Mary Kunesh on, and a lot going on. I saw that her and Representative Heather Keeler were at the Capitol yesterday, and so I don't know, they're creeping around there doing some stuff. We'll find out. And there's a big march today, and I'm sure Ogimaa will talk about that a little bit, and Lewis too. And again, I'm here with Wendy Pilot, Lewis, and Ogimaa. And right now, let's go to Ogimaa with the news. Wendy.
Hey, Ani Bonjour, everybody. It's Ogimaa Giniw Ikwe. I actually was going to pitch it back over to Lewis here. He's got a special shout out to make today, so I want to make sure Lewis Eagle Thunder can give a shout out right fast.
Well, good thing I knew that.
Thank you, Ogimaa. I don't mean to take too much of your time. Hamataki Nita Ampetu Washite Maina. I want to wish my mother a happy birthday today. She turns 35. 45 or 50. It's one of the two. I'm not too sure, but I wanted to say happy birthday to her. Thank you so much, Ogimaa.
That's wonderful.
All right.
We have a
Wow.
shout out to our Dega Curtis.
Yeah.
Mashke Hanajinga. It's his birthday today too. So happy birthday,
Right.
Uncle Curtis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every day is my birthday. I celebrate every day. But yes, the special birthday is cool. All right. Well,
Awesome.
hey, we don't, there you go. This radio show does a lot of important things and talks about a lot of important issues and birthdays. Go
That's
ahead,
right.
Go ahead, Ogimaa.
Sure, no problem. Happy birthday to Lewis's mom. We always want to make sure to get those shout outs for our friends and family. As always, I want to start with some Stop Line 3 news. The Stop Line 3 Indigenous leader, Tasha Martineau, declined a national award earlier this week, citing fossil fuel sponsorship conflict. So basically, she declined the hashtag Climate Week 30 Under 30 Climate Activist Award, citing that Line 3's funder, Bank of America and Wells Fargo, were sponsoring the event. So basically, she declined the award. She said her decision is based on the fact that Wells Fargo and Bank of America are top sponsors of the event. And in the most recent Banking on Climate Chaos report, these banks rank in the top 5 institutions financing fossil fuel projects around the world. Bank of America specifically has invested $3.16 billion into the Line 3 project, the tar sands pipeline that Tasha Martineau, along with 800 other water protectors, have been arrested in northern Minnesota trying to protect Minnesota waters from. She did a really great statement. It's a little bit long for me to read on the air, but Tasha said she must humbly decline any award, as both these banks fund the very pipeline that is harming my people. And in order to truly acknowledge and uplift the people being harmed by these corporations, that we must be brave, defund, and decline the banks supporting these corporations in order to do our due diligence to defend the sacred. So shout out to you, Tasha Martineau. Again, we just had you on the air earlier this week here with us, and what you're doing is really important, and I commend you for turning down that award and for sticking to your morals on that. Another interesting thing that's coming out here that I just found out this week is that Amazon's former security chief is now helping to guard the Line 3 pipeline. So basically, the man heading security for the Enbridge company, which is obviously, as we know, facing Indigenous-led protest against the Line 3 pipeline, formerly helped Exxon shield its operations from demonstrations in Nigeria and oversaw the global security for Amazon. So The Intercept recently reported this. The guy's name is Troy Kirby, and he likely built a handbook of the kind of corporate counterinsurgency tactics experts say energy companies have applied towards our environmental activists in recent years. So he spent 3 years as the head of Amazon's corporate security. And then under Kirby's leadership, Amazon security monitored social media posts by union organizers and environmental activists. And Amazon dispatched operatives from the infamous Pinkerton agency to invest reports of employee misconduct at a facility in Poland. And that was reported by Vice. So now, 4 years before his stint at Amazon, Kirby worked for Exxon as an advisor on strategic security countermeasures in Nigeria. The job responsibilities on Kirby's LinkedIn page were deleted, but a previous version showed that they included managing crises, including pirate attacks, employee kidnappings, and community protests. Basically, he contracted with a security network based on public and private sector security leaders. And this was all reported by the Intercept, another really great newsworthy source for those of you who would like to get news that has not been watered down. So that's terrifying. And I think that people who are protesting this Line 3 pipeline have been saying over and over again, they're being aggressively monitored. Their social media is aggressively monitored. And Enbridge has set up a funded escrow account, a state-funded escrow account, to pay for the time and equipment of local authorities to protect Line 3. And they've arrested over 800 people and held them for extended periods of time on basic misdemeanor charges. So these are the kinds of things we're facing with Line 3 here in Minnesota. And I wanted to make sure to cover that because these kinds of things could happen anywhere to anybody. I know that there's a lot of Native tribes throughout the country who are fighting environmental battles. There's a lot of things happening with lithium mining and continued lithium mining and just logging and fishing and dams and all those kinds of things that impede on the natural environmental order of things that Native people work very hard to protect and live in solidarity and community with. So shout out to all of you who are doing this work wherever you are in the country. It's just as important wherever you are, just as it is here in Minnesota. And we don't get a lot of time to talk about some of those other issues. And I wanted to make sure to take the time to do that today as a shout out as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to give all those people a shout out yesterday or today, walking, wearing orange and doing the walk today in Minneapolis. I saw a couple videos from Lisa Bellinger, and there was a lot of people in downtown Minneapolis. Did you see that, Lewis?
Yeah, it was just phenomenal turnout. And I was a little worried, Robert, Wendy, and Ogimaa, because of the weather, but these people are brave and they got that thick skin to go out there and keep on marching. I think, we don't have, mass media attention on this, and that type of action really garners that type of media attention. So shout out to everyone out there putting those good shoes on and walking that way.
Yeah, Wendy and I talk about when it gets colder, we go from our soft pants to our hard pants, and we are wearing our hard pants right now because it's.
Is that because of the starch, or is that something else?
That's like jeans opposed to like sweatpants.
Oh, there it is. Not just starch. Okay, got to get the grease in.
There could be some starch in it though. Hey, Ogimaa Giniw, thank you so much for doing the news as always, and lifting up and bringing the truth where it needs to be. Hey, we're excited. We haven't seen State Senator Mary Kunesh in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like forever, but she's up next.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to hear what she's doing and what's happening in local government. And again, thank you, Ogimaa, for bringing the news out where you don't hear it anywhere else. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I got 10 seconds to kill here. Wendy, say something.
I'm glad it's Friday. I have some fun facts for later on for the sacred animal section. So we'll hopefully have a few laughs.
Trivia.
That should be good.
What's that, Lewis?
It's going to be about bears. So again, about bears.
Yeah.
So get lots of your bear pictures up on our Facebook page.
Hey, we'll be right back with State Senator Mary Kunesh. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents
Stay
I'm
with
Awake.
us.
We are your relatives,
We are your relations,
brothers,
sisters,
sons.
daughters.
And some of us are your grandchildren.
We are your community. Historically, we held places of honor and respect. Because of the impact of colonization, some of us are rejected, thrown out from family, friends, and community, set up as targets for sexual violence, sex trafficked, humiliated, tortured, and murdered. Everybody has the right to be safe. We are your relatives. Remember,
Homophobia is not traditional.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN 350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN 350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me one. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
We are Calusa Nation.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice.
Why does it seem like we haven't seen State Senator Mary Kunesh in forever? I mean, it's only been like 1 week, hasn't it been, Mary? Oh, you're on mute right now. Where's you're on mute cup?
Oh, there I am. Yeah, it feels like I haven't seen you guys or heard. Well, I hear you all the time on your show, but just haven't been here for a week and kind of miss it.
Yeah, well, we definitely miss you, and it's never the same. I don't even know what we did. I think we did like shadow puppets on Friday because I can't remember what we did.
I think
we did a round table, right? We just kind of.
Yeah,
I think last week I asked about everybody's bucket list. That's how desperate we were, Mary.
Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I was in the middle of an event, and I just it was like I'm not going to get out of there in time, and there wasn't really a place to step away. So sorry to have missed it last week.
We understand.
We definitely understand, and we're just giving you a hard time because. You know, again, I bring this up every once in a while, but Mary is the one that opened up the floodgates for all the politicians to come on our show. Mm-hmm. So we will always appreciate that. And I think we have like a Resist t-shirt for you here. No, I'm just kidding. But we will always appreciate that. And I remember, I think I was in one of the times I talked to you was just in this recent Mankato powwow just happened last week, and I think we talked about you coming on the show a few years ago at the powwow. You were with your sister, and here we are. And geez, you know, the funny thing too is I think in over 2 years you've been on, you've probably missed 1 or 2 times at the most. I remember you being on vacation in some exotic island, and you were still doing the show.
Puerto Rico. Yeah, I came in on. I was sitting on the beach in the sun, talking to you from Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, hey, what's going on? I mean, a lot happens in a day. I mean, it's been a week since we've talked. Did you make the march today? Because there was a lot of orange shirts in Minneapolis today.
Oh, I want to be there so bad, but actually, I presented the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women's Task Force of Minnesota and the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives Permanent Office. I presented it in an international sex trafficking conference. And so Sheila Lamb, Chris Stark, and I put together a presentation. They have such unique viewpoints, and they look at it through a different lens. They have, real life experiences that are different from mine. And so when we present, it's actually a pretty good presentation because we all have our sort of niches of expertise and can really chime in and support each other's points. And so that's what I was doing during the march. I'm really, really super sorry to do that. And then I sit on the Tiwahe board. And if those of you who don't know what the Tiwahe Foundation is, it's a Indian-led foundation that does direct granting to our urban Indian community. And we have a leadership program as well. We're hoping to expand it to greater Minnesota and maybe into the neighboring states, but we had a big board meeting this morning as well. So I ended up just going into one of their closets during this conference to do the presentation. So that's where I was. I really would have liked to have been to the march, but I'm glad so many people went out. I know I had a couple texts like, "Are you here? Are you coming?" So I know there were lots of good folks there to represent us.
Yeah,
What my big news of the week is that I got elected by our DFL, Democrat Farmer Labor Caucus in the Senate, to be an assistant minority leader. So that was pretty exciting. I just was elected back in November, and I think my 4 years in the House, and so the caucus, the members of our Democratic caucus here in Minnesota thought I might make a good assistant leader, so they elected me to that position, and I'm really excited to be able to step in that role and see what I can do to help bring our caucus into a really good alignment and get ready for this next election cycle.
I noticed Heather Keeler was in town yesterday. What was cooking at the Capitol, or was that part of what you were talking about today?
Well, she comes down here, gosh, at least every week or every other week for a couple days to get some work done. She comes down from Moorhead and, just is very, very, very determined to do a good job for her community. But today, another thing that I missed was we just created a reproductive freedom caucus in our in the DFL House and Senate, made up of women and some men that are going to push back against the abortion restrictions that started up again in Texas, and making sure, I mean, we know that there's going to be legislation coming forward that are going to limit a woman's freedom to her reproductive health and her decision making. But we've now created a caucus to address these issues. I didn't get to that press release this morning, or that press conference this morning, but Representative Keeler was there for that as well. And then we have been working on some other pieces of legislation that we're getting ready for the next caucus. So yeah, she's been in town, and we're able to continue doing the good work.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You said something in the chat. I don't know if you want to say that out loud to State Senator about that not being Texas.
Oh, yeah. Minnesota can't be the next Texas? Absolutely not.
So, yeah, I appreciate you helping to establish and joining that caucus, because I would go to say, as far as borrow Robert's statement that women's rights are human rights, human rights are women's rights, because none of us would exist without a woman's body, and a woman's right to decide what she does with her own body is highly important. So thank you for that, Mary. I'm really excited to see that Minnesota's getting ahead of the game there.
Yeah, they are, and I was hoping that you were going to just say your quote from when Mary mentioned that was like, "Oh hell yeah."
Oh, you were going for that one? Yeah, sorry. I was excited. I was really excited when you heard that.
Yeah. So there's always something cooking at the Capitol. We might be a part-time legislature, but we all work full-time on it.
Oh yeah. So I got to touch base with you. I'm still in my high school teachers chat, and it looks like kind of a cluster going on. And so how are you feeling not being in? I know you're missing the kids like I am, but wow, this has got to be a hard time, and we got to give shout outs to our educators right now. My gosh.
Yep, it is. It's just so unpredictable is really what it is. So many of our school districts are short on bus drivers, and that really, really complicates things. Parents are having to drive their kids back and forth to school, which, we're pretty spoiled having bus system for those kids. And if that's what parents are going to have to do, I think we're going to have to figure out alternative ways to transport our kids. But, so so many school districts used to have their own bus company or their own department, and they were district employees. They were access to district benefits and all of those sort of things. I know that some of the bus drivers would come in and wash the windows or help during lunchtime when they weren't driving, and they really created, became part of the community, the school community as well. And then districts started doing away with them. They said, oh, we can do it cheaper if we get rid of our buses, get rid of our drivers because they're union driver, members, and we go to subcontracting. Well, these subcontractors don't have skin in the game as much as when our districts own them or they're district employees. And so, you think of what you have to go through during COVID time, all these kids coming in and off the buses, they're not wearing masks, the parents are sending their kids sick no matter what. And remember, a lot of our bus drivers are retirees, so they are not looking to put themselves into that situation. But teachers, back in the classroom, I toured a couple of the schools yesterday in my district because they passed a referendum and were able to do some really incredible infrastructure improvements. And so my two representatives and I went and toured a couple of those schools to see the new auditorium, the add-ons to the schools so that there's more space, which is really great during COVID time. One of the schools in my district has this incredible STEM program. They have this machine in their cafeteria where they dump all the food stuff, and it churns it all up, burns it all up, and then it puts it into what looks like little peanut peat, and they can reuse it. It's incredible. There's no waste after that. So I have to say I'm real proud of the schools and the teachers that are out there and doing the good work in spite of this pandemic.
Wow, that is really interesting. Mary, do you have
me going, man? You got me going.
Right on. Do you have time for another segment?
Sure, I'll stay on.
Excellent. Hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we're with State Senator Mary Kunesh, and join Lewis, Ogimaa, Wendy, and I for the next rest half of the show. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
Stay with us.
I heard sex trafficking happens a lot in Indian country. What is that?
Here are some of the real reasons why sex trafficking happens in Indian country. Unequal gender roles that were forced on us by colonization. Communities don't have enough resources. Silence around domestic and sexual violence. Lack of attention and justice for missing and murdered Indigenous people. There's a lot of behavior that keeps our communities out of balance. These are just a few true reasons why Native communities are targeted by traffickers. When these acts of violence happen in our communities, it opens us all up for exploitation.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
If you've been holding off on that new car purchase, don't wait any longer. Head over to Rudy Luther Toyota and test drive one of the new 2022 vehicles today. Start with the Corolla, a bold look and a responsive driving experience with the technology you need and all the safety features Toyotas are known for. And the Corolla Hybrid was named the Green Car Journal's Green Car of the Year. Both the original Corolla and the Hybrid model are at Rudy Luther Toyota, ready for a test drive. And make sure you test drive the ever-popular 2022 Prius too. Get your next vehicle today at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Fine dining, walking paths, gardens, and green space, the sound of children playing, groups gathered to sing and paint, prayer groups and water aerobics classes. Those are the sights and sounds that greet you at Episcopal Homes Assisted Living. Located close to Highway 280 and University Avenue, this charming community offers studio, 1- and 2-bedroom apartments. Services to help you get through your day are provided by a compassionate care team who get to know you, what you like, and your routines, just like a second family. Stay as busy as you like attending art or exercise classes, take in live performances or a movie at the theater, gather with friends at the bistro or pub, head outside and read to the children from the on-site childcare. Episcopal Homes Assisted Living also offers memory care with specialized activities and support for those impacted by memory loss. Part of a continuum of care, Episcopal Homes has proudly been serving older adults for over 125 years. Check out episcopalhomes.org for more information.
Hi, Minnesota. Stephanie Miller here. Join me every weekday morning from 8 to 11 for a humorous look at politics and current events on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
All across the nation, we are here for our communities.
We're doing our part to get supplies where it's needed in order to fight COVID-19 together.
Got to do what we got to do, helping the people that did lose their jobs and lost their income, and now they don't have money for their food.
It feels good to be out there to assist our community with what we're dealing with. It's what you sign up for as a soldier.
We will not rest until the mission is complete.
Each one of these soldiers, once they received the call, they understood that all hands were on deck. This goes to the core of what citizen soldiers do.
We are your Army National Guard.
I would like our friends and family to know that your National Guardsmen are always ready and always there.
Always ready, always there. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more. Sponsored by the Minnesota Army National Guard, aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is Greg, host of Ghostbox Radio. Create a pathway for connection and enlightenment in your life with Collective Dimensions. They're an inclusive metaphysical shop that specializes in high vibration and healing resources. Collective Dimensions has some of the most gifted practitioners in the areas of Reiki, mediumship, tarot, and more to guide you through your personal journey of spiritual growth. They'll assist you in your journey of self-care. So, awaken your individual and collective awareness with Collective Dimensions. More at collectivedimensions.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies overnight with a low around 45, Saturday sunny with a high around 66, and Sunday sunny with a high around 77. And check out Cafe Latte's Bakery that features freshly baked bread, cupcakes, and more. Cafe Latte believes ingredients matter, so that's why they never use artificial colors, flavors, or preservatives. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand in St. Paul. Make a reservation or place a takeout order at cafelatte.com.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition. I want to give Brenda a shout out, who listens and who's on our Facebook page, and I just want to say shalom.
Yeah, right on. Thanks for listening and being so positive. Hey, we're here with State Senator Mary Kunesh, and we're just firing her up and getting her ready to go. But that sounded really interesting. What your school district was doing there. We've missed you. It's great to have you on again. What else do you have for us all over here in Turtle Island?
Let's see, what else have we been doing? I've been getting a lot of information around these additional frac outs with Line 3. What's his name? Ron Turney. Is that him? Yeah, Ron Turney has been sending us videos about frac outs really close to the Mississippi River. They've been using drones to oversee what's been happening up there. And one of the things that we know is that there have been a number of frac outs. Last month, the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency documented at least 29 separate Enbridge permit violations during the construction, but we're pretty certain that there were more. And then just this week, the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources fined Enbridge that $3.32 million for major violations of water permits. But you know that's just pennies in their pockets. But the damage has been done both to the ground and to the surface water along the pipeline route, to really, really sensitive areas up there. And so they took water that they knew they weren't supposed to take. And there's going to be, I think they're going to find that there's a lot more going on than meets the eye. And if that doesn't, call for an immediate stop so that we can so that we can get a full federal EIS, environmental study, before just a drop of that icky, toxic tar sands goes through it. That's the best thing that we can do for Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly. Lewis, do you got a comment on that? I saw you shaking your head.
Yeah, I was wondering, Mary, back in Energy Transfer Partner days with the Dakota Access Pipeline, Obama had the opportunity to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline while they did environmental, impact. And I'm wondering, with what you just mentioned, does Governor Walz have the opportunity to stop any type of advancement in production or oil while this impact statement is being looked at and examined?
He does, but at this point, it really needs to be a federal environmental impact statement done. And so we actually had sent a letter to President Biden and asked him to do this. We met with a few of our federal representatives this week and laid it out for them as well, and showed them some of the footage that Ron showed us, and asked that they intervene to the president and ask him to halt all the work until that EIS can be done at the very federal level. I mean, look, when you build a house, you get permits along the way, and they come in and they check it and they make sure they won't let you go any further until it's approved. Once the house is done, the inspector has to come through and inspect it all and make sure that it's a sound and safe and not going to fall apart on us. That's the same thing that the federal government should do before anything else happens, because Enbridge has to run water through it first of all. So they're going to push and pump all this water through and look for any leaks or any issues. Well, there's chemicals and there's stuff in there. So all of that's going to end up going into the Great Lakes to begin with. So let's know that. But that's water. It's not this heavy, thick tar sand crap that they're going to send through it. It's not the same thing at all. It's a different weight. It's a different composition. What if it gets clogged and just, implodes? There's so many awful consequences to this pipe that we really have to have a really strong, intentional review of all of this and make sure that let's hope that at the end of the day, the president comes through and says, no, we're not going to do this. And we have to do it before the oil or the tar sands goes through, because the governor of Michigan said no more. Don't send any more oil through your pipes that go under our waters. This isn't safe. We need to do something else. They totally ignored her. They totally ignored her and continue to do it. And so we just have to make sure it doesn't even have, nothing goes through it until there's nothing else to do.
Exactly. Ogimaa, you had your hand raised. I love this. It's like school. I'm still teaching.
Yeah, there's two teachers on with me, so I figured I'd politely raise my hand over here. For those who are watching on Facebook, you see me raise my hand. But I want to mention, too, Minnesota has already been through this with Enbridge in 1991. Enbridge had one of the largest inland oil spills in U.S. history, second to the Kalamazoo River in Michigan, which is why Governor Whitmer told Enbridge to get their pipes out of the Straits of Mackinac. The Enbridge company had a major pipeline breach on one of their pipelines at the Prairie River in 1991. And the only reason that it did not pollute the Mississippi River at that time was because the Prairie River happened to be frozen over at the time. So they were able to do some reasonable amounts of cleanup on that. But I mean, Minnesota has already been through this. I mean, of all the things in the Line 3, the fact that Minnesota has already been through one of these major spills in our state and is still saying that this might be a good idea is just beyond me. I can't understand what other company, what other project would be allowed to continue like this in Minnesota. And maybe it's that there's been, so much turnover in the legislature since 1991. But I mean, Mary, there's got to be somebody there who remembers that.
Oh yeah, there have been water warriors at the Capitol for the last 7, 8 years. I mean, as soon as I was elected in the House in 2016, a bunch of the legislators pulled us in for education around line 3, and that's really, really when I became aware of it. I'm really ashamed to say I didn't know much or anything about line 3 at that point. But people are putting in the Facebook chat. Human rights violations absolutely must be addressed. The amount of force, the use of rubber bullets and chemicals, that burn people's eyes or whatever, that's just not acceptable. It's not allowable, especially in Minnesota. And then, don't get me going on the treaty rights as well. There might be tribes that have acquiesced to this pipeline, but they were kind of between a rock and a hard place. That doesn't mean that I don't know that they're fully embracing this pipeline, but the fact of the matter is the treaty is a statewide treaty, and it's not always individual treaties to the tribes. So when there are tribes that push back, we have to make sure that we are honoring those treaties. When you look at, when you're in the car with your kids and you're like, who wants McDonald's, who wants Burger King, blah, blah, blah. And, it's 2 out of 3 say Burger King, then that's what you're going to go with, or you should go with that. But it's really atrocious that we have gotten to this point and that we have let Enbridge divide our communities the way that they have. That's really one of the most heartbreaking results of this whole Enbridge, the destruction of relationships, families, communities, neighbors. It's really, really tough.
Yeah, I'm glad you said Burger King too, because they have the Impossible Whopper, the vegan Whopper. So that's where I go. But hey, Lewis, what do we have for a count of how many people have been arrested? I think you posted something.
Yeah, I was just echoing what Ogimaa said in her opening. Say over 800 people arrested, Ogimaa, isn't that right? And mainstream media hasn't really galvanized and covered any of this stuff, really.
No, they were keeping pretty solid arrest counts on the national media during the George Floyd riots, and shortly, actually even for months after the riots, after George Floyd's murder, they were keeping count of the people who were arrested for crimes related to the looting and those kinds of things that happened in the Twin Cities, most of which, as a reminder, we talked about it yesterday, were people who were not from the Twin Cities, Minnesota. Yeah. They were out of state and out of town instigators, but it's been... You're absolutely right. There's been no coverage on the amount of people that have been arrested. So over 800 arrests. I think Tara Hauska, I want to say I seen a post from her. Tara Hauska is the founder of the Two-Spirit organization, Giniw Collective, and they have been leading a lot of these direct actions against Enbridge, and they have reported getting closer to 1,000, not just over 800. And most of these people have been detained and held on misdemeanor charges, detained and held, anywhere from 1 to 5 days.
Right. That's crazy. Mary, we're going to be leaving here soon. I want to see if you have any last thoughts here. We got a minute left, and then Wendy's you're going to do some trivia on some bears. That's always good for some laughs. So I don't know if you want to stick around for that too, but it's it's pretty funny.
I'll keep it on. Yeah.
Do you have any last thoughts before we let you go?
Yeah, I'm just really proud of the Native folks that are standing up for this and not just backing down. That's what happened historically. Those people with power and money just come through and say, well, we're doing this for your own good. Sorry, we're going to take your land. We're going to take your water. We're going to, here's some money to make up for it. And at the end of the day, the outcome has never been positive for our tribe. So I just really want to say thank you and send really good, strong strength and power and prayers to those that are there on the front lines. And I can't always be there. You can't always be there. But those that are there, more power to you.
Great having you back, Mary. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. And up next, we're going to be having some sacred animal trivia.
Stay with us.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
If you're hurting in your relationship or have been affected by sexual violence, you're not alone. Strong Hearts Native Helpline can help you through these difficult and uncertain times. Strong Hearts Helpline is a free 24/7 confidential domestic dating and sexual violence helpline for Native Americans. Help is available by calling 1-844-762-8483 or by clicking on the Chat Now icon on strongheartshelpline.org. This message is sponsored by the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation Dogs. Get up and listen.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm easily amused, and I'm Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
You know, Wendy, I was just thinking for bear trivia, we could make bear noises, but I actually don't know exactly what noises bears make. Is that part of the trivia today?
Let's go get some picnic baskets, boo-boo. That's what bears say.
Is that a bear noise? I don't know. Is that part of the trivia today, Wendy?
Hey.
I don't know. There's like 80 different things here about bears. I'm going to probably get to like 5 of them, but yeah, maybe. I don't know what kind of sound. I could ask Surrey. Hey, Surrey, what's
Surrey's the devil. Let's move on here. Surrey follows you and makes sure that you know that you're going to work at certain times and how to get there and scary stuff like that. I almost said scary something else. Oh, hey, Wendy. This is Wendy. Let me read this. I haven't read this in a while, Wendy. I just found this too. It's like, hey, all things are our relatives, and what we do to everything we do to ourselves are all is one. Black Elk. Hey, I want to introduce my awesome, beautiful wife, Wendy Pilot. Wendy has been an animal advocate for many years. She is a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and she works on animal issues at the local and state level, and she does bear trivia. Tell us your name.
On Fridays, yes.
Friday.
My name is Hanaji Hihani, and that means cares for them. And thank you, as always, Curtis, for the beautiful name. I appreciate it.
And happy birthday again.
And happy birthday. Yes. Hope you're having a good day and you're feeling good. And best wishes and wishes to you always for a healthy and happy future. So that's what we want to say to Curtis.
You do.
Always.
Okay,
Yes,
right on.
of course. So I got a little article here and it's kind of really cute. And it's talking about 80 interesting bear facts. Did you know that the bear's closest relative is the... What do you guys think the bear's closest relative is?
Manatee?
The gorilla?
That's very close.
Yeah.
Is it a whale?
Narwhal.
Did you know that the bear's closest relative is the seal? That was really good, Louis. I would have never thought of that. I don't know.
I was just thinking mammal. Mammal.
Yeah. Yep. And that bears can smell over 2,000 times better than humans. Find out everything you need to know about bears, including bear habitat, the 8 species of bears, what bears eat, how long bears live, and how much more with our very interesting bear facts. It's very interesting.
Oh, God. Pull that up again for when you didn't see that.
I was reading.
There you go.
Oh. Is that a bear or is that a person in a bear suit?
That's me at 4 a.m. getting a snack. That's what that is.
Well, here's some history about bears. The largest mammalian carnivore that ever lived on land was a giant short-faced bear, twice the size of the biggest modern bear. It was 6 foot 5 inches tall at the shoulder when standing on all fours. Scientists believe it had very long legs and chased antelopes on northern American prairies. It died around 12,000 years ago. The sloth bear, it's not a sloth like you're thinking of, but it's a sloth bear, has the shaggiest fur. The sun bear has the shortest fur. Keep cool in the hot forests of Southeast Asia. I was talking about my New York accent.
I ever notice New Yorkers put an R on the end of everything? It's like Aunt Linda, we'd say here in the Midwest, and Wendy will call her Aunt Linder. I don't know where the R comes from.
The most accurate way to determine the age of a bear is to count the rings.
Around is like a tree?
Count the rings in a cross section of its tooth root under a microscope. So
I don't think they'll let you do that.
I don't think they'll let you do that either. It's either a dead bear or a bear whose tooth fell out. Maybe then you could see it, but... And bears have 2 layers of fur. A short layer of fur keeps the bear warm, and a long layer keeps water away from the skin and the short fur. So that's what they are.
Okay,
and bears are very smart. Listen to this. And have been known to roll rocks into bear traps to set the trap off, and then they eat the bait while it's safe. They've learned how to do that. Isn't that amazing?
Hey, boo-boo.
And
There's a trap here.
Guess how long a bear can live in the wild?
26 years.
30 years.
That's what I
30
meant.
years.
That's what I meant.
One captive brown bear lived to the age of 47. Wow. That's amazing. Isn't that? That's a pretty old bear.
A long life.
And did you know that bears are bow-legged?
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
They're bow-legged, and it gives them better grip. That gives them a better grip and balance. And bears can run up to 40 miles an hour, fast enough to catch a running horse. And the fastest known human alive today is Usain Bolt, who can run, guess how fast?
27 miles an hour.
27 miles an hour.
That was a good guess, right?
Wow. Did you guess that, or did you look that up beforehand?
I think you knew that.
I'm good at trivia. We'll play Trivia Pursuit over StreamYard sometime.
So the only bear, only the polar bear is a true carnivore. All other bears are omnivores, or animals that eat both plants and meat.
Vegan.
Sun bears have the longest claws of any bear. They also have the longest tongues, and their tongue can reach 9.8 inches long.
Wow.
That's a long tongue.
Easy.
A bear's normal heartbeat is 40 beats per minute, and a hibernating bear's heart rate drops to 8 beats per minute. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Let's see. The bear that a person living in North America is most likely to run into is the black bear. They live in wooded areas in every Canadian province, many U.S. states, and parts of Mexico. Black bears are not always black. They come in a rainbow of colors, from black to reddish brown, cinnamon bears to light brown to white. Unlike many mammals, bears can see in color. I thought that was interesting. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
See in black and white.
Bears can see in color.
Our cat can only see black and white, right? Because that's all she wears is black and white stuff. So she doesn't want to clash.
The world's most widely distributed bear is the brown bear. However, the American black bear is the world's most common bear species. When bears mate, the egg within the female's body are fertilized but do not implant in her uterus and begin developing for several months.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if the Wisconsin people are listening in, if they hate bears more than they hate Vikings. That's what I'm wondering. Okay. Because Lewis has got his purple headband on, getting ready for the
A
Vikings.
polar bear's stomach can hold 150 pounds of meat. Because remember, the polar bear is the only carnivore. So it could hold the stomach could hold up 150 pounds of meat. That's crazy.
That's a whole me. That's a whole me. Oh,
isn't that crazy?
It gives me the shivers.
That's gross. That's gross. Panda bears have an extra thumb, which is actually an extra large wrist bone just for holding onto bamboo stalks. A panda bear can eat over 45 pounds of bamboo in a day. Koala bears are not bears at all and are not related to the bear family. They are marsupials.
Oh,
a marsupial is an animal that has pouch that keeps their babies in pouches.
Like a kangaroo.
Like a kangaroo,
Right.
exactly.
And manatee. No.
So we got
Yeah, right. Hey, great segment, the way to end. I want to give a special shout out to State Senator Mary Kunesh for being on. We are still here. We are the resistance. We are the seventh generation.
Free Leonard Peltier. Stop line 3. Please get vaccinated.
Tune in for Philosophy Talk, the program that questions everything except your intelligence. Coming up, what do we owe future generations? Well, for one thing, we owe them a habitable planet. But they don't